Hey guys, and welcome back to Book Club, and today I'm playing with some new settings on the sound, so if it sounds a bit weird, that would be why. But we're here today to talk about Jig. The Goblins, I believe it's the Goblin Quest is the first book. And yes, so I'm gonna go through this book club a little bit differently because most of my book clubs I seem to be ranting a lot. So we're gonna go through 6 sections in Jig. We're gonna go through story, the setting, the world, the magic, the characters, and what I overall think of the book, to try and give us a little bit of structure to this. So the story, if you have read it, obviously there will be spoilers here, but the story I found in this book, I found it really fun and immersive to have a story about a goblin, something different, something new, not heroes. Oh, look, a hero, it's a human, or it's an elf, or it's a dwarf, or it's a hobbit, even if it's a hobbit. This is a goblin. This is a creature that, for all purposes and instance, is the low of the low, nasty little thing that you normally kill in every single RPG you ever play first. So it's an interesting. I love the interesting idea of this book, and I'm hoping to find more. Yeah, so you have this idea of goblins in the world, and going into the story, obviously Jig is a very cowardly goblin, like most people think, but he's a runt of a goblin as well, which sets him apart from the other goblins. That means he has to be smarter than other goblins. I don't necessarily think he is a huge amount smarter, or he's more cunning and he more thinks things through because he's a coward. Because he doesn't have brute force to fight his way through, he always thinks about everything. Thinks about it twice and then tries to act accordingly. And throughout the story we see that. We see him thinking and growing and understanding things. We also see him doing stupid things and growing as a character. I mean, I liked the way he decided he wanted to take a god. No other goblin would do that. He thinks much differently than other goblins. And obviously he chose a forgotten god, and that in itself was interesting to when the god answered him, to say, oh look, that he randomly can actually talk to a god, and that god can perform magic through him. And I really like that idea of a goblin getting magic. I mean, you see goblin shamans, which is basically, I think, what Jig really became in the end. He was more like a goblin shaman. But I would have liked, what I would have liked to see in Jig is to be a bit more robust, like not robust, but a bit more thinking with martial thinking, because he has a sword at one stage, and somehow he just doesn't do anything with it. Like, I can understand he's a coward and he's a goblin, and I really like the fact of that. But sometimes you've just got to pull the sword out and do shit. So yeah, that was interesting. Also, I really liked the way Jig and the elf ladies, which I am having trouble remembering her name, their friendship came together, and by the end of the book they become friends. And obviously he makes her into like that dragon crossbreed thing, so she now is like one of the most powerful creatures in the world, and she can do whatever she wants. Which I would have liked to know what happened to her, I guess, or maybe there's a spin-off book that she's in. I don't know. But I really did like it. I got to admit, I really did like that specific trail of the story. It was interesting when right at the end of the book, when Jig is obviously surrounded by, well, he's with it's not Biaz, is it? It begins with B though, sorry. I read this book and I like just smashed through all 3 Goblin books in like a day, but we'll do them separately. So brain work. Yes, the prince and his brother, they were basically they were going to obviously kill Jig, but then Jig sort of kind of gets the best of them because he gets like the rods of creation, which is what the adventurers are after. And I really did like the idea of adventurers versus goblins and the way that they pitched it in the beginning of the book. Like, goblins knew that adventurers were dangerous, but they would throw themselves on it for goblin victory, for just goblin, because they just want to be known and recognized as the best goblins in the world, or in their mountain, which was interesting. I would have liked to. Well, I really just liked the book. It was really fun and really light, most of the way through, and it flowed really fast, really nice. The pacing was fantastic. I know it was a quite short book. It was only 6 hours to listen to, I think, but just the pacing made it worthwhile, because it wasn't like, okay, well, I guess we better stretch this book out. We got to stretch this back out to this. I think I read something somewhere where it said 80,000 words as a novel. The writer hasn't done this. He's just gone, no, it's going to be what it's going to be. If it's a short novel, whatever, I'm just going to write my book. And it's going to end up with how many of the words it is, and it ends up like 6 hours long in an audiobook. And I think this is outstanding of the author, which I really like. I don't like it when you get an author and then they will just basically go, wait, we're gonna have to do something here because I don't know, I can't, I've got to stretch this out. Keen example of that is, I know it's not related to a novel, but if any of you guys have seen the anime Bleach, like when they're in Waco Mundo, someone in the series, and there's a complete spin-off series. Spoiler, I mean, it's ages old. If you haven't seen it, you won't even know what I'm talking about. But there is like in later on in the series, there's a complete spin-off series which has no effect on the latest series of Bleach that I even really thought, apart from a few filler episodes, and then where it even spoils it when it comes back, because like at the end of the filler series, you see him do something, and you see things on his character that are completely different to when they finished the series in the past. So unless it's an alternate universe, this series, this particular season, is just completely irrelevant and it's completely stupid. Which I thought was really dumb, and I just didn't like it. But I like the way that this book didn't do something like that. It didn't say, I want to stretch this out, so let's send them on another little mini adventure within the adventure. The writer stuck to his guns, and stayed on course with everything that he wanted to do. So story I thought was good. I liked it. I liked the way that Jig in the end, there was like, you can't kill the rod of creation. Oh well, I'll just turn you into a fish and then you can drown or suffocate. It would be suffocate. Would it be drown or suffocate? Do fishes drown in air or do they suffocate? I think they suffocate, right? Right? I don't know, but either way, I really like that. And obviously Darnak, he turns into a bird, which is brilliant because then the bird flies away. Let's go to the setting. Now the setting I thought in this book was brilliant because it was like he didn't like say, the writer didn't say, okay, you're a goblin, you're in the world, this is the world. He said, this is their cavern, this is their mountain. He's lived his life in this little area, and this is where he's going to stay, in this little area. He's not going to say, I'm a goblin, I'm going to be an adventurer, I'm going to go out into the open world. He literally sticks him in this mountain, and he says, this is his mountain. This is where he's grown up, and this is where he stays. And that's what he's done throughout the whole book. And even though you don't see the outside world, the inside of the mountain, it has a whole world of itself. And I find that it really brings something to it, where the writer doesn't have to focus on or bringing a world together. He just has to focus on bringing the cave and the mountain to life. So he's compressing all that information into a small area, which is making that small area so much more detailed and so much more vibrant in this book, to be able to bring it to life and bring it so then we can obviously picture and imagine it. So yeah, I thought the setting was really well done and interesting. Just completely interesting, in so many ways. I guess that covers the world as well, because the world is the mountain, and that's it really. Magic in this book I found really interesting, because there was two forms of magic. Or no, well yeah, there are two forms of magic that they know of. There is like god magic and wizardry magic. Wizardry magic draws on the power of the wizard, or you can draw power through the wizard. The wizard can draw power through itself from a conduit, or a bigger power, which is interesting to think about. You're using your body as what would I call that? You're using your body as, I would say, a funnel. You're pouring magic in from a bigger source, and it's coming out of you. But yeah, so you can use wizardry powers, or there's god powers where you pray to the gods, like was it Allhammer? For some reason I keep thinking All Might, and that's really dumb. I think it's Allhammer, and obviously Shadow Star, the Autumn Star. Why is my brain not working these days? I need to write these names down so I don't forget them. But yeah, so there are gods, and the gods can do magic through the mortals, it seems, or allow the mortals to do magic in some way. But I think it is the god gives the person magic puts magic in their body, and then they help them use the magic inside of them, do things which mostly I've seen as healing. But yeah, that's pretty much the magic of the world, and I did like that. But I wanted to see if there was a way for Jig to use, obviously, and the Rod of Creation. That's a type of magic. That's more a magic tool that can just recreate anything's mass. So if it's flesh, it can turn it into another type of flesh. If it's a type of rock, it can turn it into another type of rock. But it can't turn rock into gold. It has to be the same. It could turn a rock into like a square rock, so it looked like a brick. Just things like that, really. So you could turn a mountain into a massive fortress if you really wanted to. If you want to be that cool. I mean, you could build Moria. In other words, you could build Moria. Which is I think was an interesting piece of magic. But I thought the magic, I would like to have seen if you could use god magic in a way, in a harmful way. So if Jig could store up magic and shoot out a fireball, or shoot out some sort of type of magic, or if he can heal, can he disrupt the body? So can he use his magic to press on somebody, let's say anywhere on their body, because magic should shoot into them, and then let's say sever their heart ventricle, like the heart main aortas, or give them a heart attack, stop their heart, or brain aneurysm, or anything like that. Could he do that? Because that would be interesting. It would make Jig a lot more powerful and dangerous. I don't think the god would like to do that. I'm not saying he would, but could he? That is the question I'm asking. Characters, overall, the characters I thought were pretty cool. Pretty basic. I thought Jig was the most interesting character, and then the girl was pretty, they're all pretty basic characters apart from Jig. I think the goblins were the more interesting characters. The adventurers just seemed very, very standard adventurers, and I think that was done on purpose to show these are your adventurers. But the goblins actually have character. They are all different. They're all interesting individuals, and I think they done that because of that. I think they decided that the writer decided. I don't know why I say they. It was a writer. I think the writer decided, I'm going to turn this to a goblin's perspective, And the Goblin is going to be the only ones that actually have a character. The adventurers now are going to be just the boring ones. Which I completely support this, especially because the way the book went. I thought it was brilliant. So overall, I thought that this book was easily, I mean, come on, it was easily, I would say, I'm gonna have to give it an 8. I really liked this book. It had a few flaws in it, but I did like the book. I liked the idea of Jig and the premise of the different foresight. Most of the time you see from a human. I mean, sometimes they're a bad human, good human, grumpy human. But from a Goblin's perspective, and to tell it so well, not this big brute of a Goblin, this little slip of a Goblin. I know there is a couple of other series like this out there, but I really did like it. And hopefully you guys did too. Tell me what you thought down below in the comment section. I'm going to rate this an 8 out of 10. That's what I think personally in my own self. Hopefully you guys thought around about that as well and liked it. If you have any recommendations for books, leave them down in the comment section down below. I do take into consideration all of them, and I will try to get through all of them. But it's getting a hold of the audiobooks, obviously, and listening to them over time. And if they're very long audiobooks, it's hard to do. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Until next time, I'll see. Oh, actually, before I go, I better tell you what book we're going to listen to next week. As we did Mistborn last week, Mistborn is like a 7-part series, I think. So we're going to do Mistborn next week. The Mistborn second one, but I think it's called Mistborn: The Well of Eternity. Yes, it is. Definitely is. Mistborn: The Well of Eternity by Brandon Sanderson. We're going to do that one next week. I really do like the Mistborn series. They're an interesting series. I did do a review of the first book, a book club of the first one last week. If you guys want to go back and see that, be my guest. But we're going to do book number 2 this week. And we're going to see where it goes from there. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and until next time, I will see you later. Hit the subscribe button and bell for this, and it's every Sunday. Don't forget, book club is here to stay, and until next time, I'll see you later, and peace.